Take it away.
The second edition of Pickup Dates. First off, I also want to wish everyone a happy Memorial Day, and remember that it's bigger than a day off. Thank you to all the brave men and women who have fought or are fighting for our country, some of whom have paid the ultimate sacrifice. And Adam and I wouldn't be able to make our smart-ass remarks about this game of college football without you guys, so thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you to our servicemen and women.
Yes. Now, moving on to the second edition of Pickup Dates. This one is a little bit older news, but we didn't cover it last week, and I feel that it's important to cover it this week. New president of Rutgers University, William F. Tate IV. He begins his tenure July 1st. Former president at LSU from 2021 onward. Now, he leaned heavily into athletics, and one quote, Adam, that really stuck with me this past introductionary ceremony is he said, "I didn't grow up in this participation trophy world. You come in second place, you put it in your pocket, go home and work on being first." I think that is the attitude that really helps Rutgers in the long term.
Oh, absolutely. Welcome, President Tate, to the Scarlet Knights and to New Jersey. You're exactly the type of president that we want to keep building the culture that Coach Schiano has built in his first stint and is building in his second stint. We don't want participation trophies. We don't want close losses. We don't want to be runner-ups. We don't want to be in the rate bowl. We want to be competing for national championships. And I can tell you, okay, having lived in New Orleans for 4 years, LSU is all about winning.
Yeah.
If you don't win a national title, it's considered an unsuccessful season. So this president brings that mindset, brings that mentality, brings that culture to complement what Coach Schiano's doing, bodes well for Rutgers football and Rutgers University.
Yes. Now, obviously, as president, education is first. Austin, my man, I am not in the fake outside, as you can hear my neighbors, and they are having themselves a very lovely Memorial Day. But education comes first, right? But second, if you go down to LSU, you see that second is clearly athletics. And when it comes to athletics, LSU might be the most well-rounded athletic program in the nation. And obviously, they've been well-rounded for many, many years, but Tate helped elevate that. And that's sort of what I see happening here. We talked about a few weeks ago, did Schiano give an ultimatum to the athletic director? Little did we know the athletic director is a vacant position currently, so he must have went to the president, if anything. And if he goes to Tate and says, I need this, I need that, Tate will say why, and when he hears his explanation, he will say, I'm in. That's the kind of man this guy is, and we are very lucky to have him.
Yeah, when you look at the pedigree, LSU, that's all you need to know. Okay, if anybody's ever been down to Death Valley and been in that stadium, it's like an earthquake. That's how loud it is. And LSU is all about winning national championships in football and beyond. So when he comes in there, Schiano's not going to really have to pitch much to him. I think it's going to be the president pitching something to Schiano, saying, Coach, not good enough. We got to compete for national championships. And I think that Schiano's going to meet that and greet that with a smile. And I think this president's going to have an indirect effect on our recruiting that's going to show up big. And I think this upward trajectory into the stratosphere called the college football playoff begins in that magical 2026 season.
I think it begins this year. I think, look, it's difficult because this year, right, we can go anywhere from 3-9 to 9-3. But I think with this year being a transition year of sorts, well, obviously, for guys like Callie McManus, DT, it's a last hurrah. We need to win now. But for most, it's a transition year, which wasn't quite the case last year. So I believe that we're building a culture that's going to be relevant and stay long-term, even past 2026.
Yeah, and you know what I love about the culture? The culture reflects the state of New Jersey. New Jersey's a gritty state. People work hard. They want to win. They're tough. They persevere. They overcome adversity, and they never give up. Yeah. And that's what Rutgers is building. And as you see from a pretty strong transfer portal, a recruiting class that was in the low 30s, we're now starting to get not only the resources, but the talent to supplement the culture that we're building. And when that comes together, it's going to coalesce into what I think is going to be a team that surprisingly competes in the Big Ten. And like you said, could be.
Yes. I mean, we have some positions that are amongst the top at the Big Ten. So with this presidential hire, I expect some more depth on this team, which we've lacked in past years. and some more guys that are red shirts that can excel later on. So another speaking of commit.
Well, before you do that, Gabe, I was thinking, congratulations to President Tate. And President Tate, we'd love to welcome you onto the show as soon as you're available to discuss your vision for Rutgers University, your vision for the football program, and how you see your vision playing out over the next several years. We look forward to meeting with you.
Absolutely. Now, there is a guy that committed that we talked about last week. I thought there was a good chance he would commit. You weren't quite as optimistic, but we got him. We got him. Mr. Jared Smith, 2026 four-star offensive lineman. He has committed to the Scarlet Knights. His final four was Rutgers, Georgia, Georgia Tech, and Auburn. Now, this tells me a few things. It tells me he wants to make an immediate impact, and it tells me that he wants to build a college legacy. I can see him possibly staying here all 4 years. And the fact that we were in his final four, that's why I was optimistic, because usually guys that have us clamped in with Georgia, Auburn, Georgia Tech to a slightly lesser degree, you think, oh, we don't have a chance. But then you also think, if we didn't have a chance, we would have been ruled out already. And Austin has a great question here, by the way. Is Ethan still disinvited?
As it stands now, Ethan Kaliakmanis remains uninvited on this show for failing to respond to several invitations, number one. But most importantly, the true reason for the disinvitation or the revocation of the invitation is his failure to play in the spring game. Unacceptable, Ethan. However, AJ Surace, you're welcome on the show anytime.
Oh, man. Yeah, so I just had to bring that up.
Sam?
I just had to bring that disinvitation point up because I was wondering myself.
Yeah, but hey, Ethan, we support you. We love you. We know someday you'll be on this show, but the most important thing is for you to have a great year, to be a great team player, and to propel Rutgers to elite status, and to prepare yourself someday for maybe playing on Sunday.
So what did you think about my points with Mr. Jared Smith? Do you think I'm on the right track? Do you think he stays here 4 years? Do you think he wants to make that immediate impact, or is he a redshirt freshman? Because I saw on a scouting report that they said he could be a redshirt freshman, but then I also saw that he'll be a, quote, starter in a Power Four conference. So let's see what happens.
I think he's going to start as a freshman, and I think getting him over Georgia and Auburn particularly speaks volumes about Rutgers, and I'll tell you why. Georgia has a tradition that Rutgers can't match. The same holds true for Auburn, and to a lesser extent, Georgia Tech. So there must have been something unique that Rutgers offered that they didn't. And it wasn't the money, certainly. I think it was Coach Schiano and the culture. So if they're building a message and a brand that's resonating with people who would normally go to the Georgias and the Auburns, that means they're doing something right, and that bodes well for things to come. And I bet you President Tate was a large part of those discussions.
And you know what else I think? I think that I lost my train of thought, but I think that it's going to be a big year. And there was one other thing, but I completely forgot as soon as I said that for some reason.
Well, I do see that Exploring with Ben and Sam I feel bad because what a wonderful show there over at Oregon at the Voice of College Football. But I feel bad because this year, sadly, the Ducks will not be quacking. And the Ducks will die in a cold Piscataway fall afternoon. Okay, but we're going to welcome them to Shea Stadium. And Shea Stadium is not quiet. CEG Washington last year. But we're going to welcome him. We're going to welcome Spaz, and we're going to have some fun with the Ducks as they do not quack, as Ethan Kaliakmanis goes off for 3 touchdowns and Antoine Raymond 150 yards on the ground.
Yes, and I just remembered as you were making those bold predictions, the other key impact for bringing in Jared Smith, I believe, was offensive line coach Pat Flaherty, who has in the NFL alongside Schiano and on his own. And he is one of the best offensive line coaches in the country. And I believe that he was also a key separator from Georgia, Georgia Tech, and Auburn.
Yeah, I mean, it's just very rare that somebody who is now Smith is from what state does he represent?
It's crazy. He went to high school in in Woodland High School in Stockbridge, Georgia.
Stockbridge, Georgia.
Yeah.
And he turned down Kirby Smart, turned down Auburn for Greg Schiano. So there's something that they're doing. There's something in this recruitment recipe that's different and serving something else that these players are attracted to. That's why.
Great sign. We brought him to New Jersey.
What'd you say?
We brought him up from Georgia to New Jersey.
Yeah, and you know what? I currently live in Georgia because I teach at a college here. You Georgians, you got to go check out North Jersey. You got to go check out New York City. It's a special place.
Not very fun to drive in.
No, but you know what? It's worth the sacrifice. And I'll tell you, you're going to have a great time. He's going to have a great time at Rutgers. He's going to start from day one. Yeah. And it's like I said several shows ago. Once you get those 4 stars, once you get a couple of 5 stars, it creates that domino effect where other players say, wow, it's not that big of a deal if I go to Rutgers because he just turned down Georgia and Auburn. Yeah. So I think that this is, again, building the culture and building the foundation that will build upon itself ultimately and be self-sustaining.
It is, because you know why I actually agree with you on that, because it reminds me of Team USA basketball, right? We were not sending out our best guys. But then who was it that started it? I want to say Jimmy Butler maybe, or Jaylen Brown, one of them. Right. They say, hey, you know what? I'm going to play some basketball for Team USA, and I'm going to recruit some guys. All of a sudden, we get Joel Embiid to represent Team USA when he has been a citizen here for maybe 5-6 years. We get LeBron, who's on the brink of retirement. Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, also on the brink of retirement. And that kind of, to me, resonates with this team, how you think, okay, these guys from New Jersey, we're not getting enough guys from New Jersey to stay in Jersey. But then you look at this, we're getting Jared Smith from Georgia. We just got a guy from Illinois last week. I think as long as we can get enough guys out of state, it might turn into a bandwagon, and more guys out of state might want to come to New Jersey.
Yeah, and I think that that's exactly what we're building. We're building a culture where this is the first time in my years of following Rutgers football where the new president is the former president of LSU.
It's you.
We got a player who just turned down Georgia, Auburn, and Georgia Tech.
Last time anything like that has happened. I mean, we got a transfer from Penn State, too.
Yeah, and we've got, a transfer portal that was ranked in the top 10 and a recruiting class that was ranked, I think, 33 or 34. So with this momentum, Coach Schiano has to feel reinvigorated. And as we look towards the future is quite bright.
Quite bright like this damn sun that's in my eyes. But
well, you deserve it for sneaking outside. Are your neighbors upset?
They're not upset, but this just proves that I am, in fact, outside. And I
probably think you're talking to yourself.
I am going to be on this side of the table for the rest of the show.
Oh, well, Gabe, thank Gabe for giving us a tour of his home. Gabe, always good to have a segment that isn't involving football.
Yeah, a little home renovation. Yeah, this is a little better. All right. Now, we're on a slight slant here, but it's okay. We're going to work with it. There's a few more things I wanted to say about Mr. Jared Smith. Now, 6'5", 335, absolute beast. Played left tackle last year, but is projected to play as a guard for us. Like I said, starter potential in Power 4 conference, which obviously Big Ten is one of those. And here's another interesting thing, right? A little fun fact of sorts outside of football. He qualified for regionals in discus and shot put last year.
Really?
It's really cool to me. That shows he's not just powerful, but he's also got some agility.
That's exactly what I was just going to say. So